Hi there, my name is John Stevens. I'm pastor of Zion Lutheran Church in Oregon City, Oregon, and we are part of the ELCA. And welcome to Dollar Store Children's Sermons, where we take a look at the lectionary texts and we tie them to an item that you've got around the house, maybe for the Dollar Tree, maybe in a junk drawer, in the garage, in your kid's room. We're tying them together, and this is for the 6th Sunday after Pentecost, and I am so glad you are here. And this one, I tell you, we've been doing this videoing and doing our sermons online for a couple of months now. This children's sermon, this text was written for this. This was, so the springboard I'm been playing around with on this one has video written all over it. It's like, oh yes, this, you can do this in, you can do this more easily videoing it outside than you could in the sanctuary, because the idea the springboard is the fact that we have a God that is so free with taking the word and grace and spreading it around. Like in this text, you've got the gardener who's taking the seed that he's planting and throwing it around. He was and the seed is, it falls everywhere. It's all the same seed and it's all the same gardener. And now I know that the beginning has this thing, and the end talks about the, kind of going to describe, what does this parable mean? I'm not getting in that with the children's sermon. I'm talking about the God of grace that is so silly and in human standards, so he's a terrible gardener. The fact that he doesn't care where the seed goes, but he's throwing the seed and he's planting everywhere. God, the gardener in this, he is like, wow. And God, our God, plants God's message in the world like that, where just throws the message, throws grace. Here you go, take it, you. And can you imagine? So the video, I'm thinking, is get some bird seed, and most of us can at least make a trip to the store, the grocery store, something like that. And if we get some bird seed, something that it can easily be eaten and it's not dangerous to the birds. And you can, and plus the big bags. So you've got this bag and you can reach into the hand and you can have fun with this. Have fun with it. Skip around the yard. Have someone video it. You can put it on a tripod skip around the yard and throw. If you have a jester's hat, you could wear a jester's hat. Because who doesn't have one of those hanging around? Scarily, I do. But you can dance around, and the idea is to claim this grace of our God, because out of all of us, the two things that are across the board the same, it's the gardener, it's always the same gardener, and it's the message or the seed that the gardener plants. Those are the same. Now the soil is different. Now we could get into all of the thing about how there are days where I'm rocky soil. There are days that I am good soil. There are days that I take in the message deep, and there's the days that I don't. I can be all of the soil at different times of my life. And the thing is that God continually comes. God continually plants. God continually brings the seed. God continually does this, because our God is a good and gracious God, full of grace and love and compassion. And it's beautiful. You and I, we get to do the same thing. We get to share the message, and we get to, with wild abandon, we get to share the message. So see, this is the beautiful part about this text. Is that I am so glad that God is God and I am not. I am so glad that God doesn't leave it up to me to decide who hears the message or who I preach the message to. We are called to preach the message. We are called to throw out grace like seed, not throw it out like in the garbage, but toss it out like the net, throwing it out. We are called to do that, and it's a good thing that I don't have to decide who hears. Because I tell you what, there are places where I have seen seed grow. Like we have a cabin. I have a family cabin up just outside of Dillon, Montana. And on the way there is a huge boulder. And out of that boulder is a huge tree that's grown out. And all I can tell you is that I am so glad that no one asked me if a seed should have been planted there. Because I would have said, no, there's no possible way that it could grow. And it did. I think that people are kind of like that as well. That there are, if I got asked personally, it's like, oh, what about so-and-so? Especially if I went back to high school, if I went back to grade school and I was talking about some of the bullies, I'd be like, no, I'm not gonna preach love to them. But God has us preach love to everyone, throwing the word of grace, casting the net wide, and God saying, I love them all. Again, in this text, it's God, the gardener, and the message, the seed, those are always the same across the board, whatever soil it falls on. So, that's my springboard. I'm going to film throwing bird seed everywhere. Be jester, be jolly. And there is something there that just resonates with my heart. So, all right, so that's it. I hope this can be a springboard for your own thinking, for your own grace, for your own telling the story. And thank you for stopping by. I so appreciate the work you are doing. I know your people do. I've said this the last couple of weeks, but you guys are rocking it. You're doing wonderful work. There's the days where you don't feel like it. A couple of weeks ago, a month ago, I had a children's sermon on here where I didn't even realize I didn't even realize that it was coming through, how difficult of a time I was having getting some of the stuff. And a couple of you called that out. A couple of you said, it seems like you're struggling. Just know that you're in my prayer. And amazing. And thank you. And know that you all are in my prayers as well. As I lift up what you're doing, the kids you're reaching, and the message of grace we're sharing. All right. Thanks for stopping by. We will see you next week.